Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Rum Regret podcast. I am Andy Drake.
Johanna Myers.
Nate Tessie, and we drink and we know things.
We drink and we know things, and today we are talking about Tales from Self-Isolation Part 2, sort of how the coronavirus has impacted our lives. I am super excited to have two guests on the podcast, or we are super excited to have two guests. I am more excited to have these guys because they are the main reason I go to therapy still. Just kidding.
Wow.
Just kidding. I stopped going to therapy.
Bearing the lead with the coronavirus.
From psychologists, I guess.
So our first guest, or one of our guests, was a 2001 Instructor of the Year at the U.S. Naval Academy. He's also the military consultant for KUSI San Diego News, 24 years active duty. He's also the proud recipient of 19 surgeries, all on the lower half of his body. He's more machine now than man, twisted and evil. He is a performing member of the Academy of Magical Arts at the Magic Castle in Hollywood, California. He is U.S. Navy retired Lieutenant Commander Dan Drake. Dan, welcome to the podcast.
Wow. I know. Thanks for having me. That's such a long introduction, man. That's so impressive.
How do you follow that?
Oh, and he truncated so much of it too.
I whittled down the page and a half. The page and a half.
He makes me sound like I'm busking on the corner of Hollywood and Vine. There.
Why wasn't there a town crier?
Our next guest is a guest of much more professional podcast than this one. He is a nationally touring stand-up comic. He opened 93 shows for Cher on one of her farewell tours. I think it was
125.
125 shows.
It's an old bio.
I should have said over 90. Yeah. Well, I couldn't find your bio. Know. Yeah, just let you know.
Yeah. That's my internet presence. I have a strong internet presence. You got to want it to be a fan of mine.
That's
Can't confirm.
I was an actual busker. Dan already said busker. I was an actual busker.
He is.
I don't know why that's not in my.
I was getting there.
Okay.
He's a regular comic on cruise lines. He is probably best well known as the voice of Dr. Eye Patch from Super Milk Chan.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's a deep cut right there. Sorry.
Oh, dude, that's clutch, dude. Seriously, that is old school right there.
Yeah. But he was most recently seen on his excellent Dry Bar comedy special, My Other Brother, Tommy Drake. Tommy, thanks for coming on the podcast.
I'm so happy to finally be invited to do the Rum and Regret podcast.
Well,
I'm happy. I'm happy, and I've been worried about you, Andy, as our little brother, because they say if you touch your face, it's bad. You can get the coronavirus. And when you were little, you couldn't stop punching yourself, and so I've been worried about you. I've been worried about all the younger siblings because they can't stop punching themselves.
Oh, geez. Yeah, no, everything's
that's good.
Yeah, everything's good over here. Last week we talked about sort of how the national pandemic has impacted us, and I was just curious as to how it impacted you guys. So I know that Dan's working from home. I know that that Tommy, you were grounded. You're not on the cruise ships. Yeah.
And all of my jobs, all of my fallback jobs involve more than 10 people in one place, so,
right.
So I can't, clubs are closed. Everything's closed.
Right.
I lost my job first though.
Right.
I was out of work for about 12 hours before everybody else was. So that was,
right.
It's much better.
Upper, Tommy.
Now that, but now that everybody else is, I feel better about myself now that everybody else is the same struggle, because I found out a couple days early, cruise lines just stopped, and then all live shows were canceled, and that's what I do.
Right.
When was that?
But you're still salary with them, aren't you? Are you salary with them, Tom?
No, it's not salary. I'm getting some of the money that I would have made, but not all of it. But no, it's not salary. It's contract to contract.
Contract. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I'm an independent contractor. That was on the 13th, March 13th. I found out that I was going to be basically out of work for a month, and I did my last show that night.
Wow.
And then everybody else was sort of out of work on the 15th.
Gotcha.
I got laid off
Yeah.
preemptively on the 22nd of February, so one up everybody on that one.
Wow, you were ahead of the game. You had
I
some
was, the first time ever I
inside
excelled.
information.
Right. Yep.
Yeah. So how else has this sort of messed up your gig, Tommy? Otherwise.
Well, it's the cruise lines sort of had pressure to shut down even before bars closed.
Right.
Because we've been spreading viruses for years on cruise ships. That's just what we do. Like, we're the best at it,
Bit take on the
We are expert. Like, you couldn't, if you were designing something to infect as many people as possible, it would look like a cruise ship,
Right. Yeah.
It's a big buffet. It's a touch screen casino. It's very small cabins. It's a bunch of crew members living on top of one another, serving people. So I get why but they also have lots of restrictions. It's like they were on top of it, sort of taking people's temperatures when they were getting on board.
Yeah.
But I was not expecting there to be no place to perform. I mean, I haven't gone this many days without doing a show probably in 25 years, and I need the adoration of strangers. Apparently,
Well, that's why we
apparently
invited
that's
you.
an addiction.
Yeah.
And it's not the same. Putting out a video is not the same. Talking on a podcast is not the same. I mean, this is nice to talk to you guys, but there's nothing like a live show.
Oh,
And even you mentioned my dry bar special. Thank you for mentioning my dry bar special. But even people that watch comedy specials know there's a huge difference between the special and the show. I mean, the special's fine, but the live show is really the excitement of anything can happen, stand-up comedy. And the fact that that's not happening anywhere on the planet right now. This is the first time in my life there's been no comedy anywhere on the planet. I mean, even on 9/11, they were doing open mic in New York.
Right.
Yeah.
So
this is really weird.
Yeah, that's really the interesting part, isn't it? I mean, I've been thinking about all you guys, but to put it in some weird perspective, and just to, take the football so Tommy doesn't have to do all the talking. I will hand it back. I promise.
No, it's okay.
I've been asked this question quite a bit, and so is and Londa has as well, because she was an incident commander for the state of California. Everything that has happened in California, she has said, okay, it's going to happen next, and then this happens next. She did a 2-week exercise back in the 90s. It was the sarin gas, sarin gas release that goes through the exact same process. And I asked the question, because her friends were asking her, my friends were asking me what I thought. They were both concerned that neither of us were posting anything. And I'm like, well, and they think, though, that means something's going to happen. I'm like, well, things are happening. Dominoes have to fall. And, that structure is kind of makes everything easier, by expecting it. If you expect something to happen, then you can go to the next step, and then you could allocate resources, and you could make sure that everybody is thinking along those lines, even though the outcome is going to be different, and the cause necessarily is going to be different. The losses and the things that you're trying to replace are the same. I've said this is the best of the worst case scenario. I remember about 8 years ago in San Diego when the power went out for like 6 hours downtown, and everybody lost their minds. They couldn't get gas. They couldn't, the stoplights weren't working. Everything just screeched to a halt because the power went out. And, I think, we're having something, similar right now. When I say this is the best of the worst case scenario, we have power, we have internet, we have cable, we have gas, we have clean water. Everything is okay. And, we're being asked to, try to do the same with less. And some people are working from home. I'm lucky enough to be working from home.
So you're saying that this is a good practice run? Is that what you're saying? This is a good practice run for something more serious?
I'm not saying it's a good practice. I mean, that's funny that you're saying it. It could be worse, is what he's saying. Yeah, it could be so much worse.
Way
and the
fucking
fact
worse.
that I had to go downtown. I had to drive down. I mean, Lon and I have been, sticking to the quarantine. I mean, we will go to the store just to get stuff and stay 6 feet away and put on our gloves and and then throw the gloves away after. Keep our shoes in the garage. Wipe down the car.
I've convinced my wife Becky that social distancing is in the home between spouses as well.
Brilliant.
Oh, nice. Yeah. I mean, and
we're being safer.
Well, but think about this, Tom, and I mean, I think all of us. I think we're in that. We're all Gen Xers. What did we grow up with? And I was talking with Andy about this as well. We grew up watching, The Day After, Testament, all these movies about nuclear holocaust. And you know what? That's different. Nobody's going back to work. None of the water is clean. Nobody has any power. You have what you bought last week. That's it. Unless you're like a prepper and you have, you have a shelter somewhere, but nobody does that anymore. So this is one of those weird situations where we are very, we're spoiled in our disaster, if that makes any sense. And I haven't heard anybody coin that phrase yet. I haven't heard anybody say, the best or the worst case, but
I wrote the line today that you're living in amongst the luckiest people on the planet when your concern when something like this happened is your gaining of weight. Everybody's worried that they're going to get fat during a job furlough and a quarantine. Right. Well, then you're in a pretty fortunate situation in your life, regardless of how bad it looks. If you're worried about gaining weight,
carb loading for the apocalypse.
Yeah,
and so here's the unfortunate thing. I mean, look at that. I mean, how counterintuitive is that people are gaining weight in the apocalypse? Now, is it the apocalypse? Is that overstating it? No, but it's fun to say. I'm calling it I'm calling it apostrophe TIN.
Okay, that's good. I mean, I'm good at looking on the positive side, but if you want to look on the negative side of this, the thing that's really causing people to lose it is the fact that they don't know when the world's going to start up again. And the not knowing is almost worse. The not knowing is almost worse than if they just said, you're never going to, you're never going to do a live show again.
Yeah, that's the scary thing, is that the extending of sort of the deadline is that, we initially heard that Xander was off school until the end of March. And then now it's the end of April. And then we have, fanfare telling us, no, by Easter, the world's going to start back up again. And it's, I get where that message is coming from. I get that sort of playful hope that, hey, you know what, this isn't going to last forever. But at the same time, we're a couple weeks in at this point, right? And things are going smooth. I don't know about you guys, but Salem stores have plenty of groceries, plenty of meat. The only thing that's missing from the stores right now is toilet paper. Right, in Salem.
Right. And antiseptic wipes.
Right.
And some dishwashing liquids, probably.
Disinfectant. I had to go to Ace to get disinfectant.
We're in the same situation in Houston. That's exactly this. Supply chain's fine. The stores are full, and there's just a couple of empty sections. So we're pretty much the same as you guys.
Yeah.
As far away.
Isn't that interesting, though, Tom? I mean, that's the counterintuitive part, that the supply chain is fine. People bought things that they thought were going to go away, that they thought were going to disappear. And they're still reflexively doing that. I mean, that needs to drop off a little bit. I mean, I went into the store, and the only things that were still missing were the paper towels and the toilet paper and pasta. But all of a sudden, canned vegetables were coming back, fresh fruits and vegetables are coming back. Meat's coming back, and people need to make money, and so they're kind of getting used to that. And that's why I think it was unfortunate that you guys really caught the short end of the stick, the cruise lines, because it was like, oh well, that's got to be the Petri dish. It's a big floating Petri dish. That's where all the viruses start.
Right.
That's like
when I left.
I mean, that's. Go ahead.
It is, but when I left the ship on March 14th, we had 0 cases across the fleet. Which is, I work for one line, but it's multiple lines. It was like 123 ships. And then a couple days after, there were 2 confirmed cases on one of 120 ships.
Right.
So I don't know what number they're at now.
Tested either, so that's the problem.
Right. But there were, and out of the 2 confirmed cases, that was out of like 40 quarantines.
Right.
Spread out among, like medical quarantines. There were a couple shifts where they said just stay in your cabin so we can get you home. But as far as medical quarantines, there were like 40 total. So that's how many people were actually showing symptoms when I left.
I couldn't
now
believe
after the 2 weeks, I guess it's around testing numbers. I guess if you were on a ship, you have about a 1% chance of, or what is it, a 3% chance of having it, or something like that. If you were on a ship in the last month.
I'm a little disappointed, Tom, because I was going to say, as much as you love math, for you to throw around 1 and 3% like that.
It's 3%. It's not 1%. I had the 1% way off. It's 3%.
Well, and I'm not, and Andy, I know it's funny. I'm not trying to be a smartass with that or give Tom.
Yeah, no, Dan knows how I am about my numbers. I'm very specific about numbers. So you're right. That was not me, but I'm trying to drink. You're supposed to drink on this thing, right?
That's exactly correct. Yeah. Hey, so Tommy,
you know who we invest in? You got to invest in White Claw. Somehow White Claw came out of this smelling like a rose, didn't it?
Jesus
Christ. What's in my glass? What's in my glass is either 3% or 40% alcohol.
Exactly.
I think it's 40%. I'm pretty sure it's 40%.
Oh,
Dan, you're a pocket dog away from getting a corner clipped off your man card for that fucking White Claw. I know you're manlier than anybody else on the podcast or ever, but Jesus Christ, man.
No, it's funny because I did that on purpose. I thought that was interesting of what's, what is making it out of what is still doing well in the stores, what people are still buying, and what seems to be like the new thing. It's like, how can you have something that's trending during, what's supposed to be a national disaster?
Well, and
don't get me wrong,
down.
this is
right.
Yeah, and how ridiculous is that? I mean, how silly is that? I mean,
that's ridiculous.
Talk about just reading the headline. The sun has a corona too. Are we gonna take that away? We're gonna say that, F the sun because, that's where the corona comes from. But
this is what we were talking about last week, is they're really missing the mark on an ad campaign right now. Most interesting man type shit. That'd be great.
Oh
Dan,
my God. Yeah. There you go. Right. That's it.
Yeah. So, Tommy, is
well,
Becky,
Dan, do other words. Dan, you're the one that knows all about words. Do other words attached to diseases have a negative connotation now because of the disease that they were attached to throughout history? Like limes are fine. People aren't afraid to eat limes. It's spelled Lyme disease is spelled differently.
Spanish, right?
Spanish flu. Does Spanish flu make Spanish? I mean, have words been tainted because of diseases before? And is the word corona going to be tainted now?
Well, I mean, we could get really dark and say black, but
you could match game that. You could match game that, completely, and and say, blank virus, and people are going to say coronavirus when maybe they would have said H1N1, maybe they would have said you say blank flu, and what are they going to say? They're going to say Spanish flu? No, they're probably going to say swine flu now. But and I think that's bound to happen with, especially with the way that we're proliferating, the information around. There are going to be some negative connotations to words like that. I mean, you saw what happened with, hanging chads back in the 2000 election. All of a sudden, that word becomes legitimate.
Yeah, my hangingchad.com really took a nosedive after that one, Dan.
Oh, right. Oh, well, here's the okay. All right, smart ass.
Kill the business.
If you're going to throw a softball up like that, expect it to get hit. I'm sorry.
It's true. I'm sorry. There you go. So here's one for you. So right after, I remember, you guys remember, well, maybe most of you remember this. There was a diet pill that was called AYDS that came out.
Oh, right.
Say maybe
AIDS,
3 months.
Right.
3 months before HIV hit, and they decided to call it acquired immunodeficiency syndrome. They went under. There was another example. I mean, I can say there was a store in my mall. It was a Middle Eastern woman who designed dresses, prom dresses, and the name of her store was Sis Fashion. Well, guess what? Guess who isn't there anymore?
Right?
Because of ISIS.
Hey, speaking of that, I hate to cut you off, but while this is going on, it seems to me that AIDS has been cured. Anybody else paying attention to this?
Right. Yeah, AIDS is doing real well in the news right now.
It's expensive. It's expensive.
AIDS has been cured, and Black lives don't matter anymore.
Oh, Jesus.
Well, no, you have to.
There it
You
goes.
have to pay for.
There it
You have to
goes.
pay for the drugs. You have to pay for the drugs, but it's not a death sentence anymore. All of a sudden, AIDS is not a death sentence, and for some reason, that's not headline news, and I don't know why.
Yeah.
So Tommy, so everybody,
Every time-
let me ask you this: is the reason for that because our perception has changed? Because it was super scary before, like this is right now, and this is gonna level off, and this is gonna matter, or did we just figure out a way to deal with it?
Dude, it's clickbait. It's all clickbait, and that's what it is.
I agree.
Now, the
Totally
hot
agree.
topic is coronavirus, and you know what? I mean, AIDS. I hate to say it.
It's
had
pretty
its time.
reductionist, Andy. The hot topic right now.
But-
You mean the pandemic sweeping the world? 500,000 confirmed cases.
Well, yeah, but I mean, what
I'm counting.
are you gonna click on right now, Joe? Like, what are you gonna click on tonight?
No, AIDS is so 1990s.
It really is, right?
Coronavirus.
Oh wow!
I'm gonna click on the Magic
So
Johnson
Madonna.
Hall of Fame induction speech.
Right.
So
Cheers.
Madonna, Lucky Star. God,
So
come on.
Yeah, and that's no, Tommy. Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. But that's the age that we live in right now. Unfortunately, information spreads like wildfire. So if you're going to call something, it's going to have that negative connotation. It's going to drive it down, regardless of what it is. You know.
So
right.
we like saying garbage in, garbage out. That's the problem.
Right.
The problem is that, and that's like anything, like any algorithm you have, you put in garbage, you're going to get out garbage. You're not going to get the meaning of life if you put garbage into your algorithm that solves everything. Same thing with the information. The information coming in has to be reliable. It has to be good. It has to make sense for us to make sense of it. And like one of my pet peeves lately has been calling it. One of my friends went high and right because they said, "Oh, look at this. This commercial from 2018 says that this disinfectant stops coronavirus." I'm like, oh, God.
Right.
Okay. You know what? Calling it coronavirus is like saying I was attacked by a cat last week. Well, it could have been a mountain lion, it could have been a house cat, and it could have been a tiger. I wasn't specific about it, but calling it COVID-19, well, that's specific. And just saying coronavirus, you're not letting everybody know that it's a family of disease. But we all know that the news and everything comes through a funnel. So that's why they don't really have a choice about who. The choice about who is calling it what is made above everybody else. That's where I think the information gets blurry and it starts getting a little bit weird. And like if you look at the numbers on Johns Hopkins page that's tracking it, and then you look at the World Health Organization page and the CDC page, there's some discrepancies. They're not all talking to each other.
Right.
It's and that's really, really disappointing that they can't all get on the same page with numbers. And like I said before with Tommy and the numbers, as more people get tested and as more people turn out to, their 2 weeks went by and they're positive for it, but they're not contagious because they were asymptomatic, that denominator is just going to get bigger.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
asymptomatic doesn't mean that they aren't contagious. That just means they're not expressing symptoms.
It doesn't, but again, there's not enough information.
And we don't know how long they stay contagious for. That's
exactly.
Scary. We don't know who has it. We don't know how long they're contagious.
And speaking of
Well,
numbers,
that's the one factor that makes this so scary, is that there's people spreading it for 2 to 3 weeks that have no idea that they have it.
right.
And especially when you're young and you think you're healthy, you think it's okay.
Yeah, well, and when you're young, you're indestructible. Speaking of numbers, though, USA #1. We're
How about that, huh?
Are we winning? Are we winning?
We are officially winning now. We
Good.
passed-
That'll
What
help.
number?
That'll help
Not-
replace
no,
the
you got it.
Olympics.
Yeah.
No. What number? What number are we winning? It's not most
we're-
reported cases.
Yeah, the number of confirmed cases right now over 82,000.
Confirmed.
Yeah, confirmed cases.
But not. So we're beating China right now.
We are beating China. Yeah.
How about that?
So
That's huge. That's huge.
Yeah.
It took a lot of work.
Right. Yeah.
Really?
So,
Wait, Andy.
Yeah.
Okay, so you just did exactly what I said everybody's doing.
Yeah.
Do you really think that there is one death and 42 cases in Russia? The biggest country in the world has 42 cases and 1 death.
Well, the biggest.
And that
Wait, the biggest
it's
country
unfortunate.
in terms of land? No, Russia has 840 confirmed cases and 3 deaths.
3. There you go. That's right. 3. How about that?
Anyway,
Right? I mean, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying I don't trust the numbers from China. I don't. The only numbers I trust right now are from Italy.
Right. I got you.
Absolutely,
No, that makes sense.
don't trust those numbers.
Yeah.
No, I mean, and I do think that was a good segue into the numbers discussion about like we're winning right now, but I think we're winning by playing open kimono, and that's how we need to because whether we like it or not, we're trying to set a standard, and maybe we were a little late into it. I don't know if that was our fault that we were late into the problem solving of this, but I think I still don't. You don't think that that's something that is like a bad flu. I don't think you're going to react to it that way.
Yeah, sorry. Who said that we're winning? Where did that come from?
I did.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah. What?
Winning based on what?
Well, that's what he was saying.
Based on confirmed case numbers.
Based on confirmed case numbers. And that's where I said, you got to question where those numbers are coming from in regards to China, in regards to Russia. I mean, Russia's been really quiet and not really helpful, right?
Right.
So, So for a country that is sitting on so many resources and so much, so much intelligence and so close to China, they're pretty much backdoor fence neighbors with China. I don't see why they are being so deliberately quiet right now, and that's a little.
Aren't most of Russia's resources focused on our presidential election right now, though?
Yeah,
that and catching Bond.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's it.
So is Becky still showing houses during this?
Yeah. Becky has decided she will argue that she is essential.
Right. Yeah. Like Ken.
She's essential because shelter is essential, right? So
Right.
she's essential. So she's managed to work. She's managed to get up every morning and work like normal business hours. But I kind of think that's because I'm here.
Oh,
I kind of think it's just she's just trying to get out of the house away from me.
That's interesting. My stepmom.
Yeah, this is a real test. We haven't spent this much time. This is the most time we've spent together in 25 years of marriage.
Right. Wow. Yeah.
Pressure cooker. Yeah, it's interesting that she's still able to show houses. They shut everybody down in NorCal, at least in the place my stepmom works at. Yeah.
Well,
they're not
so,
allowed to do anything.
Houses.
Listings
I don't
online,
need people to
and
sign
that's it.
contracts.
Yeah. Everything digital.
Hey, Tommy. Hey, Tom, did Andy just turn it over to Byron Allen when he asked that question?
He did. He totally did. Wow.
You so Byron Allen there, Andy.
Whitney Houston, of all the loves, what do you think is the greatest love, Whitney?
Wow.
Oh, I couldn't help it.
No, it was a softball pitch. Yeah, no, Becky's still going out, meeting with people and showing houses and doing deal. Like the worst thing in the world you could do to my wife is to say, all right, there's no interest rates at all, and you can't sell houses.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Well, gas has never been lower. Airfare has never been lower. Yet you can't leave the house.
Can't travel anywhere. Right.
Right. Is Joe?
And people are going to be. Go ahead.
Joe, is Ken still working?
Yep.
As of today.
Yep, he's still working. They don't really have a lot of work because people aren't, taking their cars in.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're still working, and they have the shop kid disinfecting every car that comes in before the auto techs even get a hold of it. So.
Oh wow.
He's kind of like, I'm pretty fortunate, I'm not working in a grocery store, I'm not that exposed.
Right.
Yeah. When your first line of defense is the shop kid.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's true. But I mean, well, you can't really screw up wiping down a steering wheel that bad.
Don't you? I mean, Joe, don't you get and Nate, everybody, don't you guys think that this is going to end up being resolved by good old American stubbornness? I mean, I think the relief package is a good thing, but there's a lot of incentive in that relief package to not do a thing and to stay at home. And if you're going to do that, I mean, if people are going to do that, if people are going to stay home and that controls the virus, that's a good thing. But I also think that people are going to get stubborn. They're going to say, I am just an alcohol swab away or an alcohol spray away from being safe. And I am 6 feet away from being able to do my job. It's ironic that I got sent home because I worked in an office where we didn't talk. Nobody really talked to anybody. And that's just the way it happened to work out. But now I'm at home and I'm doing the same thing I was doing before, but just doing it from a laptop computer. And all the guys that work for the contracts that I manage, they're still going to the base. They're just going through one gate. They're all,
Wow.
Everybody's working on the ships. Everything's doing that. They're just controlling it through single access points. And they're not hitting everybody. Like I was in Singapore when SARS went down in 2003, 2004. When we left the base, we had to go through trailers, and they took an infrared scan of your body. And if you started getting, if you went off in color higher than, between 98.6 and 99.1,
Right.
they pulled you aside, they took your temperature, and they kept you from going off the base, and they quarantined you right there. I'm surprised that we haven't taken that 20-year-old technology and applied it in other places. I mean, we're just shooting people with little temperature scanners that are on the forehead to figure out whether they're symptomatic or not. But it's I think stubbornness is gonna kind of force us out of this little economic mark time that we're doing right now.
Well, you're leading me to a question that I think many people on the panel, I think this is an important question for everybody that's in here, but more important to some of us. Speaking of stubbornness, how long can I parlay this into not touching people? Like when this is over, can I still say coronavirus and just not touch people? Can I do this for years? Is this serious enough? Because I know that I know that some of you are like me. Well, I know some of you are like me. I know some of you would rather not have personal contact most of the day.
Right.
So can we use this as an excuse to have that?
We've already
Not
started.
only that,
we've already started doing the Demolition Man handshake.
Nice.
Oh,
Well
yeah.
done. Well, 3 seashells are next. You're not going to have any fucking toilet paper left. So.
That's right. Yeah.
That
how about
bidet
this?
installed has been a lifesaver.
I thought of a way. I know I heard about that bidet. You were telling about that last week, Nate. That's impressive with the bidet. That's very
Thanks,
interesting.
Dan.
But so here's the funny part. I remember we had some back at the academy. We had some Middle Eastern exchange students, and they graduated with us and everything. And we had 2 of them in our company. And I remember one time, Sharif, Sammy, was walking down the hall, and he had a squeeze bottle of water in his hand. And 2 guys had come back from a room like, "Hey, Sharif, can I have a swig of your water?" And he's like, "No, you don't want this water." And we were like, "Wait, what?" And this is because that's how they do it over there in the Middle East. They don't use toilet paper. They use water. They use bidets in the Middle East. So that was his his portable bidet was the squirt bottle of water. So yeah,
Talk about an outbreak-ish incident.
Again, we are culturally behind the Middle East in our use of the bidet to solve our nether region problems. But
yeah,
did I just derail the whole thing, Andrew? Is that not? No, is this good for Rum Regret?
I got spring bottles. I can start.
No, your Black Lives Don't Matter comment derailed everything. But moving on, the lack of contact thing is interesting. I'm kind of an introvert in general, extrovert when I get comfortable with people, but taking a care package of N95 masks and gloves and TP to my mom today, where she couldn't hug her granddaughter, like it was fucking heartbreaking. I had to throw stuff over her fence, basically.
Man.
And it's I'm not looking for sympathy there. It's just that this is going to be the norm for a very long time, and people don't seem to get that. This is just the very beginning of this virus. There's no known cures. We have no antibodies for this. Obviously, this strain has never been in humans before, so we don't have any natural resistances to it because people have had it before. Thankfully, there's over 100,000 people that are okay after having this now. So hopefully that'll help jumpstart the efforts on the back end as far as the science goes. But this is the beginning of this thing, and it's going to skyrocket in the next couple weeks, months. And I mean, I haven't seen any numbers that say anything otherwise because it's doubling. Yeah, every 3 days, basically.
It's scary in that regard. But on that note too, my parents just moved into town, and I try to tell them and hammer home how important it is to stay in and stay home, but they're like, oh, hey, dinner Saturday, just come over and everything will be fine. And it's just like, well, as much as we want to see you guys, you just got here, but we can't.
Yeah, my 70-year-old mother said she waited in line at Costco for an hour for toilet paper this morning. Like, Mom, you can't just go hang out in a line of people for an hour. You've been in and out of the hospital. You have a weakened immune system. You're like prime target for this thing.
Right.
Yeah, I had to tell my papa-in-law he couldn't go to the store today, and he was so upset.
Right. Yeah. And that's,
it's exponential math.
I delve in this.
There's no way around the exponential math.
Right.
And as long as people are going out and they don't know how far 6 feet is, or they aren't, the sneeze overcomes them and they sneeze into the air and you just walk through the mist, or whatever. Yeah, that exponential math, you cannot get around it. Nate's spot on. It is going to get worse. However, this is the best way to control it, is to tell people to just stay inside. If you're symptomatic, continue to stay inside and separate yourself from the family. If you remain asymptomatic, then we'll see what happens. Right now we're trying to isolate everybody. And again, that's the other reason. Think of the other reason why maybe we're beating China on the numbers, because, in a country where you have, complete control over everybody, it is easier to sequester everybody. It's funny, in our house, our first thought was, and this has been proven to I wouldn't say proven, nothing is proven, but this has been shown to not be the case. The first thing that we thought of here is, well, that sure took care of the protests in China.
Oh, right.
Well, no, it was. It's one of those things that is just, it's a coincidence. And that was my, that's what I was saying before. It's like, well, AIDS isn't a problem anymore. Yeah. Oh, the Chinese protests aren't a problem anymore. It's like, really, it's like we just seem to keep switching. And and to go back, I know, Nate, you hate this, that Andy, kind of diminished it to that, but it is. What is the flavor of the month? And I hate saying that. I'm not trying to diminish the fact that this is a global catastrophe, but we're going to solve it and we're going to get by. And it's just how we get by, the manner in which we do it. Mm-hmm. Does the end justify the means in this? And I hate that everybody is out of work, and that it's going to get more difficult, both in that regard. I thought of a way to avoid having to go out and buy a gun and ammo, because people were doing that too, along with toilet paper and paper towels. I'm just going to I'm going to get a cardboard cutout I have cardboard in the garage, and I'm going to put COVID-19 plus and tape that to the front of my door and see how many people want to loot my house.
Just put dead inside on the garage door. You'll be fine.
There you go. Yeah,
right?
That'll fly.
Inside,
right?
Try to lighten up a little bit. But as far as the winning goes, we actually passed China today with the number of confirmed cases, even though we're saying don't trust the numbers. Yeah, they have more fatalities. Don't trust the numbers. But we're at 85,000 now.
But the harrowing number there is that our population isn't close to China's. So
we don't have the control over the populace either. That's the thing.
True.
I'm going.
The density in China was the problem.
The
population.
Our population is closer to China's now.
That was
that's fucked up.
That was the messed up thing is the meme that I saw going around Facebook was, shouldn't we wait to do the census after the coronavirus?
Oh, no shit. I got 4 letters in the last month about it because I didn't finish the interview.
Did Spades just get broken by Nate? I was saying effed up before. I didn't know that we were allowed to work blue.
Oh, for sure.
But, nobody fucking listens to this podcast, so we can swear all we want.
I'm drinking Kraken and talking to you, Dan. Okay. There's going to be some
okay. No, this is not a kid-friendly podcast in any way, shape, or form. Yeah.
Well, I want this to be of value. I do think that you guys, believe it or not, you guys do have an audience. I think you guys do scratch an itch, so I think it's important.
Okay, so to throw it, what are we? So Tommy, I'm curious as hell. What are you doing to sort of fill the time now, aside from cooking?
I am cooking. Yeah. Tonight I did a Jack Daniel's barbecue sauce to go on a burger. I'm doing the stuff that's been buried in the freezer for 3 years,
right?
Pulling it out and cooking it. So we have some really good. We have a pretty deep freezer, so I'm just pulling stuff out I didn't know I had, and then cooking.
Nice.
I'm writing I'm writing a lot. I'm still going back and forth with the cruise line, the people in the office every day for a little bit, going over some logistics of stuff, and they still have no information on when we're going to work again, like anybody else.
Right.
But like I wrote an outline for a story today that you guys talked about, and I do short stories, sci-fi stuff, and I wrote an outline for a story, a world where people don't hug each other. There's no hugging, there's no touching anymore, and it's a world where a touch becomes like a death sentence. Because of a virus, and what that does to everybody's moods. Now, my question for you guys is, this is the time when Grandma needs a hug the most from the grandkid, and she's not allowed to.
No way.
Is this going to cause moods to change? Is this going to cause people that are normally generally nice to turn into evil people? I mean, is this where some people lose it because they can't hug their grandkids?
Yeah, you're not going to get chaotic good to chaotic evil, if that's what you're saying.
Yeah. Well,
there's a cycle. I don't think it's within families. It's gonna reduce to that. I think there is some extra closeness in families that we're all not used to. Working out of the house and being around. Just like you said, that was funny. That that's the closest you guys. The most time you spent together in 25 years of marriage. We're liking that our house is big enough that we can separate, so we're not constantly on top of each other all day. That's important. That's important as well. But I think at the same time, in some ways, this is going to bring out disasters always bring out the best in people by illuminating the worst. Okay. And the only way to really understand where that worst is to see it happening. And we hope it doesn't get to that. We assume it's going to happen, and then we're pleasantly surprised when it doesn't. I think we've seen situations, and the news is going to cover this, so don't worry. If you haven't heard about it yet, they are covering it, and you will hear about it.
Breaking on the Rum Regret podcast.
Yeah, that's the looky-loo aspect of our news the way it is now. You're more likely to hear bad news than you are good news, and that's unfortunate. So I think we are going to eventually see. I mean, the fact that everybody looted, or they didn't loot, but they hoarded. The fact that people are hoarding products like that and certain people don't have them right now is really unfortunate. But then again, when we went to the store last week, we saw a van in the parking lot from a church, and people were saying, if you have extra toilet paper, you can give it. If you need it, you can take it. And they had stuff in the back of their van they were just handing out to everybody. Right. And I thought I was like, wow, and I'm not ashamed of myself that I didn't think of it, but thank God that somebody did think of it, because
every gas station now, instead of give a penny, take a penny.
Give a roll, take a roll.
Give a square, take a square.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I know I mentioned this on the last episode, but I like you're saying, I see a lot of positive, community like banding together and helping each other out through this whole thing, because we're all in the same boat, and we just, people are a lot kinder than I'm noticing. Like even in the grocery stores, people are like smiling at each other and talking more and just trying to like kind of communicate that way, because we can't be around each other, but just try to make everything a little less shitty.
Well, right, and I think
I got cornered today. On a Facebook post, and I said I got accused of giving false hope. I got accused of giving false hope, and then I said,
post, Dan, that was a great post.
It was.
Thank you, Nate. I appreciate that. Well, but then I reacted, and I thought of this on the spot, and I didn't think of it. I said, there is no such thing as false hope. There is hope is always real, and it's always a good thing. You can't have false hope,
Right.
So I think any
misguided
hope, and Joe, to go back to your point, I think anything positive is a good thing. That gives us the ability to go on to the next day. And I'm not saying take this day by day. You got to be more forward leaning than that, and you have to stick to the plan. And you can't be irresponsible about it or hope that you're going to wake up and it's all going to go away. You do have to be hopeful, though. That's what we are.
Yeah. There is that small element of sort of panic right off the bat, though. When you hear that no, you can't leave the house, you're going to be stuck in there for 2 weeks. or however long you need to be, there's an element of panic. And I went to a supermarket down the road here where and this was Monday, right? So the loose shelter in Oregon was put in place. We're not as bad as California yet. We're not as bad as Texas yet, because we don't pump our own gas.
Boy.
There you go.
Oh
There
boy.
you go.
Yeah,
But
you're right.
No,
Wow.
so
All the
Monday,
gas nozzles, Andrew. Yeah.
right?
Elitist
Exactly.
Pacific Northwesterners are over there.
Yeah, that's right. But no, Monday
I touch my face with the gas nozzle all the time.
I licked it.
It's like the
I
scene in
all the
Zoolander.
time.
Every time he fills
That's
up
right.
Constantly touching my face with the gas nozzle.
the bronze
Yeah.
statue of Tommy.
But Monday she was panic shopping through the store, like 3 huge things of bottled water, like ripping meat off the shelf, and it was just, it's like everything in my power to tell her to, calm down. But those are 2 words you just don't say to a woman.
Yeah.
If that makes you,
Yep.
but this is what you say. This is what you say in your own mind. If that makes you feel better, everybody has their own
Right.
fear boundary. Everybody
Yeah.
has their own fear boundary, and it's hard to get past that. Like you can't, you can't teach that away. You have to experience that away.
Yeah.
And the ironic thing is that the first thing that Tommy said, is this preparing us for a bigger one? It absolutely is. It is absolutely preparing us for a bigger one, and it makes us, tougher. The problem is, you can see just by history, how long did it take us for those lessons to wear off? There are no leftover lessons from the Spanish flu pandemic that we're using right now.
Completely underprepared for this.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's exactly the reaction is exactly the same, and we're talking 100 years, 108 years actually, is the difference.
Right.
And the exact same measures were in place. You shut down public places, and you tell everybody to stay home until it passes, and then you deal with it. You deal with it at the end, and that's unfortunate that that we did leaps and bounds technologically and everything else, and medically, but at the same time, there are some things in place that are preventing us from going faster. There's a clinic in San Diego that got the DNA code of the virus and put it in the computer, and the computer turned around and gave them the formula for the vaccine, and they're synthesizing it, and it just needs to be tested. That's a good thing. You couldn't do that.
Yeah, 18 months though, right? How long is the test going to take?
12 to 18 months, depending.
Right. And that's for it to be scientifically sound. But then at the same time, the study I posted, the study I posted today shows that a drug that's been certified safe is having an effect, a positive effect. And I think that's you have to meter it. You can't get overexcited, and you can't overreact, emotionally, and you can't overreact, physically by executing the plan. You can't say, well, it's okay because, the drug we've been using for malaria all these years is going to solve the problem. I mean, we did see an interesting graphic that was put up that's difficult to find.
That was the most interesting thing that you told me the other night. And go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, no, yeah. It was a side-by-side graphic of the world, and the colors, one of the colors was every place that has been hit by COVID-19 and every place that has been hit by malaria, and it was like a photo negative of each other.
Interesting.
And that it is very interesting, and you really can't ignore a correlation like that. And I'm going to say correlation because that's a responsible way to say it. That's all you have scientifically are correlations. You can't, but you can get a 99.9% correlation, and that's pretty reliable. So I think that they're on the right track with this. We just have to keep our wits about us. We can't panic. I think the economic part of it is going to start coming back more. And I think as the testing goes up, I think you're going to see. Yeah, you need to know what to do. Like right now, I don't know if my house has it or not. I know that we've been quarantined. I know that we're asymptomatic. I know that Londa and I had a bad case of influenza A in January.
Same.
And yeah, you said you had the same, Nate, on the last podcast.
Real
You
bad.
said you had it too.
I don't even know if it was influenza A. Was it COVID-19 or was it? Yeah. I think there's going to be some information that's coming out soon at some point. I think it'll be very interesting to see because they're estimating it started in Wuhan in December, right? That's just a guess based on the first known carrier. It could have been before that. So how many people I mean, I was exposed to
It
several
was-
people who traveled to that area of the world at work in the month of December and January, and I got really sick at the end of January.
Yeah. Reported and identified December 31st, 2019, which is why they called it that, but they think they know it started in November in that market.
Yeah, I hope I didn't just out myself as the outbreak monkey, but
well,
I mean, that's,
he's got the vaccine.
It turns out,
If Morgan Freeman bursts through the
funny.
door,
It is. Yeah, I followed the bug. The bug.
Well, I have another math question for you guys. I have it's sort of an economic question too. How long of a quarantine shutdown in a big city does it have to be before the shutdown and the poverty itself becomes more dangerous than the virus? What's the tipping point for me being out of work for 3 months is more dangerous to my health than this virus?
Never.
Great question.
Right.
So that is what's driving.
Never equal. I'm sorry.
That's what's driving the solution right now. Believe it or not, that is 100% what is driving the solution. They know scientifically they have it, and they can get by it and they can control it that way. How long to shut everything down is the big question. I think there's.
I mean, if New York City is quarantined for 6 months, 5% of the population is going to die.
Absolutely.
That's just what happens to poor people that have no work. And that's more than the virus is going to kill.
I agree.
Right?
Yeah.
And I'm in a similar situation here in Houston. It's not as big a city as New York.
Though.
Yeah.
How long can you afford? Tell me how long you can afford to be quarantined for. And that's why
the government has to step in and actually use some of the 100%. Fucking money that we give them every year to support the country.
And that's what's coming back. And that's what they bought with this plan, is to give money so the quarantine can stay out a little longer. But that's the thing, though. Not everybody qualifies for it. I mean, most people do. Some people do not. And that doesn't make it any easier, because not everybody who doesn't qualify for it is working from home. So it's a balancing act, Tom. I think you hit it right on the head. But that is the big question that's driving everything, is how long can you shut everything down and have it be medically feasible to be able to come back.
So Nate, my question for you is since you're in a shared, since Addie is shared between you and Carly, how is that going to work out in terms of the money that you get, and then how is that going to work out if you guys have to quarantine and really stay in? Yeah, she can't leave one of your houses. How's that going to fall?
Yeah, it's already been pretty dicey because Carly has a roommate who has a boyfriend who lives with a bunch of people. And as much as I want to say, hey, you can't come pick up your daughter because I don't think it's safe, that's not the right thing to do yet.
Right.
And it's also illegal for me to say that. So
wow, I didn't even think about that situation.
Yeah, so the main thing is...
Our friends have a similar situation, Nate, and that's really unfortunate. But, becomes a reasonable man thing. You guys really have to come to an agreement together about that,
and we've had a couple conversations. There's a couple issues that I can't talk about in public, but
of course,
sure.
But beyond that, I've taken as much precaution as I can. I mean, I Lysol everything that she has, wipe everything down. When she doesn't even get to bring her shoes in the house. They get Lysoled outside. They go downstairs in a bag. All of her stuff gets disinfected as she brings it in. And I am telling her mom, like, if you don't carry a can of Lysol in your car, and every time you go somewhere and before you get in your car, Lysol your shoes off, you're tracking shit in. And that's just, in general, it's a good practice, especially if you're going to a hospital or something like that.
Right.
That being said, it's been interesting. I'm insanely thankful for having so much extra time with Addie, and the fact that I am not working right now. It would be really hard to be as effective as I was in the office from home, even though I would be able to do it. But the schedule that I kind of posted as a joke on Facebook has honestly saved my life, because she goes, checks the time, goes and looks at the schedule we have posted on the garage door. Yeah. What am I supposed to be doing? She's kind of self-sufficient at this point, and we're doing a point system. She gets screen time based on how much stuff she gets done. So it's not just zombified, which is the easy solution. We're catching up on Clone Wars and great 80s movies. We just watched Back to the Future 3 the other night, and she fucking loved it. So
nice.
Yeah, there are some bright spots.
The pattern gets you through.
Yeah.
The pattern and the predictability of a schedule is what is going to get everybody through the quarantine. And it's funny, a buddy of mine likened this to serving on a submarine, and it's not unlike being at sea. Tommy knows this too. Granted, we didn't have the games and the open bar, on a deployment,
Right.
but it is, if you have an every day is the same, even when you're crossing time zones, the predictability is what gets you through each day. I know you guys were talking about.
I take better care of myself on show day. I do shows most nights of the year, so this many days without shows has given me like not my normal schedule, and I need to create like a fake schedule in order to not go insane.
Yep,
absolutely.
And I do all my normal stuff that I would do in the morning, but my afternoons and evenings are all messed up.
Yeah. You got to build blocks of time. So I've been doing a block of time to work on the house, block of time to search for jobs, block of time for etc. If Addie's not here, half the time she's with her mom, and it's kind of a weird staggered schedule. So it's a couple days a week, and every other weekend I have her. I can easily fall into a wormhole of YouTube and video games and just get back to being as unproductive as possible. It's very easy to fall off that boat. Pardon the pun, there, Tommy.
Yeah,
that's more justifiable now, right?
Right.
You have a reason.
Yeah,
well, being socially responsible, being a slacker right now.
I'm just waiting for the picture of you testing out material on Gracie, Tom.
Oh wow! No, that happens all the time. She's my audience. But
Gracie's Tommy's cat. For those who don't know.
Okay. No. You have to say it like Gracie.
Yeah.
If you can't do your stand-up act to a cat that is not responding, you're not ready for the big time. You're not ready for the big time because
baseline, right?
Being a pro is about taking that punch. When you do a good joke and your audience just looks at you deadpan and does nothing. If you can make it to the next joke and not let them know that you had the wind knocked out of you, that's what makes you a good comic.
Yeah, the advanced test is when you deliver a good joke and the audience licks their asshole, and then you really have to
that's when you know.
That's a gut check right there.
I have been gone so long. My cat actually dragged my suitcase out into the middle of the floor today. That's how long I've been home.
That's funny.
Oh man.
Yeah, I mean, there's all sorts of secondary and tertiary aspects to this, and we were, my writing partners, our producer, said, we're all looking at, and this was in January, early January. He said, we are all holding our breaths right now, whether we have a job or not, because theaters were shutting down in China. The major studios count on all of that money that they're going to make from these movies. That's part of the budget that they plan out. Yep. And when that goes away, people start losing their jobs. I mean, we got
you spend the money in advance for things like the Olympics. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. 2 screenplays are up, getting knocked around right now, and as much writing as, we could be doing right now, it's, we're waiting. We have to get everything back so people can go out and see these movies and make these movies. I mean, I jokingly said I rewrote one of our screenplays that's done so that every actor is 6 feet apart in the scenes. And they all laughed. Right. I'm like, yeah. I said, yeah, that's the only way we could get it filmed right now. So we had to do that. But it's hard all around for everybody. It isn't easy, and it's not easy to just replace, your old routine with routine when you're counting on the interaction with other people for that routine.
What's never going to be the same again? What's never going to go back to the way it was after this? What is never going to be the same again? Yeah.
I think the way that we just kind of hand wave cleanliness and paying attention to, the way that I mean.
So men are going to have to wait in line to wash their hands at the bathroom from now on, forever.
Yeah.
I think
I think the hospitals are stocked.
Closeness is going to go away. Oh, we life hacked our own hand sanitizer last night with leftover aloe vera and some rubbing alcohol. That's the way you make it. So,
yeah.
Oh wow.
There's a little life hack for you there. But yeah, I mean, things like that. I think people are going to plan better. I think people are going to have a month of supplies in their garage. I think people are going to lean forward a little more. I think you're going to see gun sales go up. I think you're going to see people all of a sudden not trust when the next one's going to happen again.
Will I never have to shake hands? Will I never have to shake hands after the show again with everybody in the audience?
You have an excuse now for sure.
Right.
When that goes away.
Dude, you can Howie Mandel yourself. I was at the doctor yesterday, and my doctor my doctor did the fist, and we were both wearing gloves. It's like, are you kidding?
Yeah.
I mean, that's seriously. I mean, so yeah, we have to get to that point where we're going to necessarily, I think, be less close, and it's going to be harder for our generation to be
in
not
his
close.
defense, Dan, he was just
paper
inside you,
currency.
so.
Is paper currency or coins a thing of the past?
I think I think paper currency has been going the way of the dodo for a while, but it is.
Yeah.
But you look back in history, and the reason that we still have paper currency, Tom, is you go back to the greenbacks, and you go back to the silver notes as well. A lot of these have a basis in history of actually having more value than more value than the paper that they're printed on, type thing, right? So I do think we're going to go away from that, but that's dangerous as well. It's a dangerous precedent to set to say, let's digitize everything, let's automate everything.
Well, Dan, I'm a numbers guy. The world economy is going to be thrown off so much more. We're already way in the negative worldwide. When you add everything up, when you cash in all the bills, it should round down to zero, and it doesn't. It rounds down to trillions of dollars in the negative, and this is adding trillions of more dollars to the negative. Yep. And unless you do a mathematic reset, there's no coming back from that.
Yeah, you can't though.
So
but look at how fickle the market is. Look at how fickle the market is. You can rumor mill and news story the market into a panic and into a free fall. And when our market, is one of the more prevalent ones in the world, driving a global economy, it's terrifying.
Sorry, is there a rumor mill happening? It's more of a global pandemic that's happening that's causing the market to fall.
No. But then the market recovers, Nate, is what I'm saying. That it comes back. It's like they canceled the bear. They canceled the bear today. Okay, that doesn't mean we're back in the bull, but we canceled the bear. Yeah, and it's not. I mean, but it's just numbers, Nate. It's just what boundary have you crossed? Numbers wise determines whether you're in a bull or whether you're in a bear.
Right.
And it goes through these stages of recovery, and it depends on what's being covered and when. And it really is. I mean, I'm not saying that it's not a rumor mill. I'm saying it's what story is being covered on top is what drives the market.
No, that's completely true. I really hate the saying that perception is reality. That was something my old boss used to say, and it used to fucking kill me every time he'd said it. But unfortunately, that's the reality of what we're living in right now.
It's tropey, but it is 100% true, bro.
Yeah,
100% true. I hate that. I hate that it is as well. I mean, 75% psychologically, 75% of eyewitness reports are false.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot trust what you're seeing. And to Easter it up, there's 4 versions of the New Testament, right? 4 different points of view, and that is one of the oldest tropes around, right? Is that there's a different viewpoint, and what you look for is the commonality in all the viewpoints, and try to sync it up to try to boil down what the truth is. And sometimes you can find that, but sometimes it's hard. It's really hard to find where the nugget came from, where the source is,
right?
And that's the frustrating part. And it's not that I'm doubting everything that I'm hearing. I'm not that type of skeptic. But I'm one of those guys that looks at it. And, my household is like this, and we look at it and we're like, and that's like, go back to questioning the numbers in China right now, or why are there so few cases in Russia? What are they doing that's so great? Why don't we copy what they're doing? They're just not reporting it. That's what it turns out.
Right.
No, they're executing people and burying them in a hole somewhere, probably.
Yeah. Right. No, it's super frustrating. I'm with you guys that it's a hard nut to crack, and I wish this podcast could crack the nut. And it's ironic with the varying experiences that we all have behind us, that we can't look at it and try to come up with a workable solution that works outside it. And it's not like something isn't being done. It's like, I think the right things are being done. It's just, you got to get everybody on the same, rowing at the same pace.
Yeah. Same direction. Right. Yeah.
Same direction, same beat,
The thing
the
that
first
really
thing I thought of was Ben-Hur, and sitting in the boats and pounding it out. And that's a bad example because we're not all chained up, but it is. Yeah.
For our younger listeners, Ben-Hur was a movie, and a movie was something that you used to go into a room with a bunch of people and touch elbows and watch. The thing that really bugs me about
strangers would just be in the same room. They'd be in the same room watching,
gasping.
movie.
Yeah, and don't get me started on porno theaters. Oh my God.
Oh yeah.
The thing that kind of bugs me about this is all the conspiracy theory guys that I've been friends with over the years that are just tickled like pigs and shit with their fallout bunkers and
Oh, yeah.
Drummer basement.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I would love for some of this shit to be true. Could we get a contrail right now to just blast everybody with Lysol? That'd be great. I mean, come on.
Sure.
Let's use it
Yeah.
to our
Yeah,
that would
advantage at
help.
least.
Yeah, why can't this be like a Star Trek episode and we just put something in the water supply and then we're fixed?
Exactly.
I mean, so
Is this
to
what-
keep with
is
the
this what
theme,
makes us
to
all
keep with the
shop from
theme of
home?
your,
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
to keep with the theme of your podcast, have you guys seen anything that we're doing right now that the writers didn't think of for disaster movies and apocalyptic dystopian series? You know,
It's
everybody
following the same
jokingly,
script. They don't listen to the scientists. There's
Right.
no clear leadership, and people get absolutely wiped out.
This
Well,
one
yeah.
also seems to have been brought to the West by Gwyneth Paltrow.
Yes,
Right.
but Dennis Quaid will save us because he's going to put snowshoes on and walk to New York in the eye of the storm. Day After Tomorrow.
Oh.
Still a
Yeah.
great movie.
Nice.
So a buddy of mine he's a writer. His name is J.L. Bourne. He was a P3 driver for the Navy, and really, really good writer. He wrote Day by Day Armageddon, which was a zombie series, which is really good. But I think the best thing that he wrote, one of my favorite books of his, is called Tomorrow War. And Tomorrow War talks about an internet bug that shuts down effectively the cyber network of the world, and forces us into a situation like this where nobody can work and the supplies are limited, but they're not. They're all end up
The
being
man
controlled.
with the flip phone is king.
The man with the phone is king. That's right.
It's going to
They
be all
can't-
Mad
yeah.
Maxed out, but he's got the flip phone attached
Yeah.
to his head.
But
Communicating
it's
to
funny. I
Love
mean,
this story.
what doesn't change about all this is the psychology of people and how they react to it, and how they choose to band together, who they choose to trust, what rules they choose to follow, and which they choose to ignore. I was taught as when we were in prisoner of war school, the whole point of it was they gave us these ridiculous rules and they beat us if we didn't follow them. But the point was to break some of the rules to be able to survive. I think that's where you're going to see start to happen. And I think it's going to get to the point where it might start to get unmanageable. And that's where it gets a little scary, where you start seeing, it's like, everybody started calling this shelter in place. We're not sheltering in place in California. We were told to stay home. Totally different.
Right.
And there's, it's the whole words have meaning thing. When we're sheltering in place, the National Guard is out and they are assisting the police force, not violating the posse comitatus at all. They don't have that type of authority, but they have a manpower type of role that they are used to hand out supplies and to distribute things according to FEMA's plan if it gets to that part. That's when we see a shelter in place, and that's where we're not there yet. That domino hasn't fallen yet. And again, stay tuned. So maybe Tom, if you and I, if we get invited back, we can continue to update as this goes on. But
I love that you said
there's
if, Dan. That's TBD.
Well, we are
for me.
renaming this to the Dan Drake podcast.
no, I'm not trying to.
Well, I'm just glad that Joe's still here. I didn't even hear her until she left there for the last
Yeah.
30 minutes.
I'm still here.
I know, it's hard to talk
I'm
over all this
sorry.
knucklehead. That's all right.
Well,
I just got a
No,
printout. Apparently,
I blame
most
Tommy.
of Dan's credits have been redacted. Most of Dan's credits at the beginning have been redacted at this point.
No,
he's
I'm
no
sorry,
longer a
guys.
member
No, I-
of the Magical Arts Magical Castle.
No,
That's the one you went through
no,
was
I-
the Magic Castle.
I like. I enjoy this stuff, and like I said, if I hadn't have been asked, and I think this maybe some of this invite came from us talking with Andy and Jamie the other night, and it took about this long. I mean, it did. We had a really good talk about everything, and I think it's important to to get all the information. So I wasn't trying to bogart y'all's podcast.
No,
enjoy your podcast.
and I
fucking
didn't mean
with
that
you,
in
Dan.
any way, shape, or form.
Oh.
The last time we were all in a room together was in August for Mom and Dad's 50th. And
Yep.
this is the time to connect with family. You know,
And the last time I got to talk to you guys, we were at the wedding?
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
before
probably.
that,
Yeah,
it was
that's right.
gunshot
Yeah,
wounds
no.
and C-section scars, and we won't talk about that. But
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
Tom, here's and Nate and Andy and Joe, I think you play too. But here's the sad part, and I thought of this the other day, because I wanted them to replay old March Madness, play the whole tournament.
Sure.
I
Sure.
still couldn't pick a perfect bracket if they replayed everything.
Ah,
That's what makes me mad.
Fucking Gonzaga, man.
Wow.
Fucking Gonzaga.
Hey, you need to give that idea to some Vegas bookies. They will run with that shit.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah.
Holy shit. You have to pick the perfect bracket, but you don't know the year.
Oh, there you go. See, there you go.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
Couldn't do it. That would be rough.
The 2000s, but that's it. That's all you get. Jesus.
Oh man.
Good stuff.
All right. Yeah.
So in a parallel Mandela effect universe, Kobe Bryant died yesterday, and he didn't get the send off with all the games, and he didn't get the send off in Staples Center, and it wasn't as sad. And it was right. I mean, you could think of all the you asked what wasn't going to be the same. I mean, that's one of the first things that popped into my head. People aren't going to do, people aren't going to be as close as they were before. They're not going to congregate as much. It's just going to be something that we change from and never really go back to.
I think to
everybody's going to be a little more germophobic.
Yeah, Dan, you said it earlier. We're going to get through this. It's going to hit us a lot harder than I think a lot of people thought. And I know, was it Fauci? I can't remember how to pronounce his last name. He was saying that Fauci, that to be prepared for this to be a seasonal thing. And so I'm fine if we can push through and then learn from it. But to your earlier point,
if we know it's coming, we will look forward to this. If we know it's coming, we'll look forward to this. If it's,
it'll be
if it's 2 weeks that everybody stays at home,
businesses will start building it in. You got your COVID-20, your COVID-22 off time coming up.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's going to be
like
that.
This is a way better spring break than the old spring break. This would be a more
spring breakers in Florida are getting popped now. They're getting tested positive. All those guys partying down in Florida the other day.
Well, finish with numbers, Andy, if you want. When are we going to exceed the numbers of annual influenza deaths around the world? That's when I think you start calling this different. Right now the percentages are so low. And again, it goes back to the reporting. And again, is this going to be a seasonal thing where we shut everything down? I don't think so. I think it's going to be as seasonal as the flu is and as seasonal as flu deaths are. You have to think of it that way. I mean, we can deal with this because we do deal with it. It's just going to be different because this is scarier.
Yeah, we're walking into our drugstore of choice and getting a flu shot
psychologically.
Yeah, and then we're gonna walk in. We're gonna walk into a drugstore and now get a COVID shot.
And I'm
that's
not. We are many years away from that being the norm, unfortunately.
Oh no, absolutely, but.
I had a thought the other day regarding the whole vaccine thing, and I almost posted on Facebook, but I wasn't quite brave enough to open that can of worms. But
be the change.
It did occur to me. I'm like, okay, so say they come up with a COVID vaccine. Is everybody gonna get in line for that? Because they certainly don't for flu shot vaccines and other vaccines that people have issues with. So I mean, are we all gonna?
Here's the thing. If it's available. Yeah, if it's available, it doesn't matter if anybody lines up for it, because if you can have an option to protect yourself, then you're not our problem when you get sick, and that's how people are going to look at it, because that's how they look at the flu shot.
Right,
if you get the flu every year, I'm sad for you. I'm sad for you. You're going to survive it. But
people aren't getting vaccinated.
Your concern is if enough people don't get enough people don't get vaccinated, then the vaccine doesn't work. Is that the concern?
Well, that's the concern with current vaccines.
Take a time out and go ahead and binge watch Pandemic on Netflix. If you guys did you guys talk? Yeah, and that's they talk about that. They talk about anti-vaxxers on there. Yeah. You could give everybody every solution to solve this problem, and some people will choose not to. That is inevitable. Right. Yeah. And it is scarier now because it's unknown. It is going to cease to be scary as soon as we figure everything out, as soon as we figure out how long it gestates for, how long that you're contagious for. As soon as all those answers come in and the numbers settle, then it's not going to be scary anymore, and we can get over it. And it is. It may be seasonal, but it's not going to be like this. It's not going to be shutting us down.
Right.
The way that it is right now. But I do think this was, it was necessary to do something. Otherwise, it would have got out of control because people are too stubborn and they can't be told to stop.
Yeah, actually, I just saw it. It just came through Twitter right now. the coronavirus vaccine is actually going to be free with a 6-pack of Corona beer in stores.
Oh, wow.
Boo.
Wow. Wow.
But that's how you get you put it in Corona.
There
and
you go.
Don't tell anybody.
That's right.
And then you sell it for $3.
Yeah.
And that's how you get it across the world.
And then suddenly after May 5th, we're all better.
Right? Oh my God.
Oh man.
I don't think that's going to work at all.
Hey, at least it's
Sounds like
a
horrible
plan.
Right.
Better than nothing.
No.
All the
I
beer
got
snobs
cut
are
out.
going to
What
have
did it say?
Corona.
You froze.
Jesus,
No,
take
Dan.
the wheel.
So Dan, I said that it just came through Twitter right now that the coronavirus vaccine, when available, is going to be free with a 6-pack of Corona.
Well, you have to repeat this.
Yeah.
It was dead on arrival the first round.
Oh, come on.
Is this on?
Oh my God.
Oh, you're
Hello.
riffing. That's good.
Hello.
Oh,
Yeah,
where's
If,
my
that, if
soundboard
that's the
at?
case, all the beer
Jesus
snobs are going to
Christ.
die of COVID-19.
Yeah.
Oh, did we?
Tell you
Oh,
something.
Andy, I didn't know you had Foley. Who just did that?
Right. Yeah.
Who just
Sad
did the sad
me.
trombone?
Sad trombone me.
It needed the sad trombone. I
It
couldn't pull the
did.
crickets
No,
out fast enough.
Well,
Oh,
think about
God.
this, though, guys. Think about it. Think about what we see. Think about what we consider entertaining. How entertaining was 2012, right? I mean, that was something that we thought was supposed to be the end of the world. This is how it's all going to go down. And then you have Y2K before that. You think of all these scenarios in our head of end time scenarios, and it's just fun to think about. It's fun to write about. It's fun to make movies about. It's fun to do podcasts about. Why does it never play out that way? Why does it never end up being there's a philosophical discussion if you guys want to talk about this sometime. Supposedly there's the great filter. Have you guys heard about this before?
No.
Tommy and I had a discussion about the great filter. Because
I'm famous for not having a filter. I don't know what that is.
Well, and for for a civilization to achieve a certain level on the and ironically it's on the Drake scale, believe it or not.
Right, the Drake scale. It is the Drake scale.
It is on the Drake scale of technological superiority, and it's like, can you
frantically
and it is well, it's kind of like the Class M planet in Star Trek. It's like this level of planet uses all of its resources. This level of civilization uses its solar system's
the top level. The top level is called a Tommy Drake.
So it all has to do with your access to resources in your solar system and in your immediate area. But the whole thing goes back to what it goes back to is, can a civilization survive the great filter? And the great filter is a situation like this that could effectively wipe everybody out. Nuclear weapons for us is a great filter because we could technically destroy our civilization. Not having a moon that has the gravity that our moon does, that can absorb every large meteor and asteroid that comes by, avoids us from having a great filter like the KM event that killed the dinosaurs, right? That type of thing is what you're looking at. So you're looking at your great filter. So the question becomes, how do we keep, missing it? How do we keep missing our great filter? Or have we already been through our great filter and we are destined for greater things? If that is the case, then that is a totally hopeful outlook. That is something that we can look at and say, well, this is a small thing. We can get by it. Psychologically, we can get by it. It's not going to kill us medically. It's not going to kill us scientifically. It's not going to kill us economically. We can get through it. And it doesn't.
There's also
our great filter.
But there's the not so great filter that actually moves you forward, and it's sad. No, it's sad. Nobody wants it, but that's what the plague was. That's what the plague was in England, right? Maybe this is a not so great filter. Maybe this is something that
we're just fucked. Is that what you're trying to say?
Well, no, not that we're fucked. That the ones that survive will be better off.
Yeah.
But maybe there's some bad years ahead before that happens. All I know is we've been through a lot. I mean, you listed a lot of doomsday events. I've never had in my lifetime a situation where everybody in my industry is not working tonight.
Yeah.
This has never happened in my whole life. So this is different than Y2K. All right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Fair
yeah.
Also different than the flu. It's hard to compare those things.
Yeah, it's interesting to watch these talk shows broadcast from their houses. You know, it's looking at the Late Show with Kimmel, seeing him broadcast from his home.
Oh, Fallon interviewed his wife on a walk around the neighborhood the other day. It was hilarious.
Right. Yeah.
It's a different skill.
Yeah, the Talking Dead was done from Hardwick's living room. You know. So,
right. Right.
So think about it. What changes, and then what goes back to being the same, and then what becomes uncool to go back to? That's going to have a lot to do with it too, because again, that perception of I was talking to some comedian friends of mine, and my buddy Andy Huggins had an interesting point. He said, if this lasts just 2 months, you know who's going to be left? And I said, who? He goes, only the really good comics. Everybody else will 2 months will drum them out of the business.
Yeah. Well, it's so there's your black plague.
And it's the same for musicians. It's the same for guys that are living off of bar gigs.
Yeah.
If 2 months of no bar gigs pushes them out of the business, the only ones that'll be left are the ones that are super passionate or really good at it.
Yeah.
Okay, you guys, you're hitting the macro right now, Tom, and that's it. I mean, and you can think of this, because there have been reports, if you look at it, I saw some side-by-side pictures the other day of, the Venice canals before and the Venice canals after.
Don't say dolphins. Don't say dolphins. Please don't say dolphins.
No, I'm not saying dolphins. I'm saying, this is the beach line before and this is the beach line after. And you're looking at it and everyone's like, oh, who are the happy people right now? The happy people are, the climate people right now, because the earth is healing itself, because people aren't driving as much. And it is. And, you look at, I think there's a good show on, I think, History Channel called 100 Years After. And it goes through these situations where 100 years after nuclear war, 100 years after starvation, 100 years after a pandemic. And it goes through all these things. And what always seems to come through is that we are, we're just like, we're little tiny, fleas on the big dog that, gets up and shakes itself every now and then. Yeah. That's what it seems like every now and then. And the big dog gets fed by something else. I mean, there is.
I think 100 years after this, everybody finally pays off their credit card bill, right?
Right.
Shit.
Exactly. Well, no, there is something to that. There's some type of natural order to this, though, that is being maintained where, and I'm not saying it's like that. I'm not saying it's like, cutting down the population of comedians is a good thing, but it is a good thing, isn't it? Cutting down the world
putting people further into debt,
the best thing, but it's a good thing, right?
Putting people further into debt is good for the world economy. Interest is good for the world economy in the long run.
Sure.
Because it's free money for the economy. So, so if you're looking on the bright side with stuff like that, then if you're looking at macro,
well, it's like,
so
think about, but look at this, Tom. I mean, this is a perfect example. It's like they're one of the solutions in Canada was authorizing or was waiving hunting license fees, so people would go out and hunt so that the deer population doesn't get out of control.
I did a list of laws that were thrown out the window in the last month, and it's really interesting when you stop obeying little laws, how they get further and further along. Stuff that was illegal last month is not illegal anymore, or it's still illegal, but there's zero penalty for it.
I'd love to see that list. Other than,
and that's what Canada did. Canada did. We're not going to change the law, but right now there's no penalty for it. So they can change back later on and say, oh, as of September 1st, there's going to be a fine for hunting without a license again.
Right.
Interesting.
Right.
I did see Fish and Game penalize people for fishing without a license. Actually, pull them off the river last weekend.
Oh,
seriously?
Wow.
Jesus Christ! You guys are fucking heroes.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Well, you're gonna have to think of a way to hand me a ticket from 6 feet away.
Yeah, right.
I'm not signing your book.
Yeah. Oh, you almost had it. You almost got it.
I think paper's going away. I think receipts are going away. I think paper money's going away. I think touch screens will be a thing of the past. There's still going to be touch screens, but you won't actually touch them. They're going to be 2 inches away. They're going to be air screens. That's the thing.
We have fobs right now. I have fobs to get into my office at work, into the parking lot. It's all the same. I don't have to touch anything to get in. It's all coded. And
Right.
it's a proximity pass, and that's what we can do with our credit cards now too. We can do that as well.
The only downside is you have to take them rectally. But other than that, you're good.
Downside for you, I've been off ships for 2 weeks.
Looking for some action.
That's right.
Nate wants to end it dark. All right.
No, I forgot that my plug strip wasn't turned on, so there you go.
Obviously, we're done with the rum and on to the regret.
The headache's starting to set in at this point.
Right.
And,
the regret.
What happens when you have to stop drinking Kraken? You're fine as long as you keep drinking it.
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
Oh, man.
Shout out Kraken Rum. We are unsponsored.
That's right. Yeah.
Shocking.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that was a fine discussion between the Drake brothers.
Indeed. Well, no, you guys are the core of the show, so that's awesome. I appreciate you guys having us on. That was really fun.
It was very cool. I definitely wanted to get. I mean, because as brothers, we couldn't be more diverse in our career paths, and I really wanted to see how this was impacting you guys and everything. So I'm totally stoked you guys. I know we all have time, but I'm very happy that you guys came on and were able to do it. This was a lot of fun for me.
And you shouldn't have been surprised. I was a professor. Tommy's a comedian. We got paid to talk for hours in front of groups.
Wait, we're paying them?
Without stopping.
I did not know that.
That's you shouldn't be surprised that we don't like dead air, but not that you guys have dead air. It's just like it's hard to shut us up. But
hey, Tommy signed up for a gig. We gotta give him some money.
Yeah, now the world knows. No, but I'd love to have you. Can we do this monthly? If you guys are available in a couple weeks, we can just do a check-in.
Yeah, as long as they're not doing, as long as bars are closed, I'm available. As long as they're not doing live shows, I'm available.
Okay.
But as soon as people are allowed to congregate again, I will be out every night.
Yeah.
I'm already going crazy, so I'm going to be out every night doing shows.
Yeah. Okay.
Until I get back on ships. But yeah, I would like to do a follow-up on this.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Follow-up as well.
Yeah.
That's right.
I mean, it's going to be more interesting when some of us are starving and, when some of us have gone feral.
When you hear from the cat in the background, then you need to worry.
I want to do this when the rest of us are on flip phones, not just me.
We'll do this over Telegraph.
FEMA's going to hand out flip phones, Tom. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah. All right.
Bread, cheese, and flip phones.
Yeah. Right on. Well, thank you guys again for coming on this. What are your thoughts on the pandemic? How is it affecting you guys? Let us know in the comments. You can find us at Facebook at Rum and Regret, Twitter at Rum_Regret. Joe, where can they find you on the socials?
Joe Chickadee, and my website's joechickadee.com.
Okay, Nate, where are you?
I'm sorry, I'm dying right now. What are your thoughts on the pandemic?
Well,
I know.
What are your thoughts?
Your delivery was so perfect. I love it. I don't know. I'm not doing much on social anymore, but Avid Gamer, AV1D Gamer on all the socials.
Okay, Dan, are you comfortable giving out your social?
Giving out my
your social networks.
My social security number? No.
Yeah,
you can. But you can find me on Facebook. I'm not as active, but if you really want to hit me up, you can hit me up on LinkedIn, and it's Dan Drake. I do enjoy a good business connection. For those of you that want a network like that, and I will dip my toe in the social network pond every now and then, like today.
Nice.
And then I decide not to. Then I fall off the wagon.
Yeah. Tommy, where are you on the socials?
TommyDrake.com and Facebook Tommy Drake comedy page.
Okay.
And that's about it.
And don't forget to check out Tommy's Dry Bar comedy special. It's really, really good.
Yeah. Check out my Dry Bar special.
All right.
They've actually suspended taping of this season of Dry Bar, of course. So that means that no new specials are coming out people are going to have to watch my special eventually.
There you go. Yeah.
There you go. There
Really
you
good
go.
stuff. Do yourself
Right
a
on.
favor and watch it. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
It's free if you download the app.
Yeah.
Get it.
Only free for those that don't tip. Come on, Dan.
That's
That's
right.
right.
That's right.
That's right.
You got to tip. You got to tip.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, tip your waitresses. Come on. Yeah, but thanks again for being on, guys. Once again, we are the Rum Regret podcast, and until the next time, we have spoken.
Nice.
Nice.